the recipe for laughs. Charlie was determined to create a family feast, imagining a meal that would amaze his wife Samantha and kids, Jake and Emily. He started by slicing onions, but the tears came so fast he muttered, "Why do onions make you cry? Because they want to bring a tear to your dinner." Samantha walked by, chuckling as Charlie's eyes watered, grabbing a box of tissues to save him from the onion fumes. Jake peeked in, watching as his dad poured way too much oil into a frying pan, saying, "Guess I'm just making it extra greasy for the greasy gang." The pan sizzled and spat as oil splashed onto the counter, forcing Charlie to step back with a laugh and a hot oil, "Guess it's trying to make a splash." As he grabbed a bag of flour, he misjudged the angle, causing a puff cloud, and quipped, "Looks like we're having a donado in the kitchen." Samantha stifled a giggle, patting the flour dust off his hair, while Jake and Emily laughed from the table. Determined, Charlie moved to the eggs, but as he cracked one, it exploded everywhere, prompting, "Guess it just couldn't exist in peace." Emily clapped her hands, watching egg yolk drip down her dad's apron, and said, "Dad, this is already the funniest dinner ever." With renewed enthusiasm, Charlie started on a salad, but as he shook the dressing bottle, the cap flew off, splattering the wall. "Looks like the dressing just wanted to spice things up a bit," Charlie joked, trying to dab the mess with a towel. Samantha handed him a new bottle, smirking as she said, "Maybe the salad dressing just got stressed out by your cooking skills." Next, Charlie decided on mashed potatoes, only for the hand mixer to splatter potato bits across the room like confetti. He grinned and declared, "This is what I call a masterpiece, that's messy and delicious." Jake and Emily couldn't stop laughing, clutching their stomachs as their dad attempted to scrape potato blobs from the fridge. Moving to the oven, Charlie attempted a lasagna, but after a loud sizzling noise, he realized he'd forgotten to add any cheese. "No cheese? I guess this is more of a pasta rofi than a masterpiece," he quipped, shaking his head at his oversight. Emily suggested they name it cheeseless lasagna, while Jake added, "Or we could just call it a las angry na." As he tried to salvage the lasagna, he accidentally burned his hand on the oven rack, muttering, "Well, I'm just too hot to handle." Samantha handed him an ice pack, raising an eyebrow as she said, "Too hot to handle, yet you're still cooking." Charlie moved to a dessert, mixing batter for cookies, but as he turned the mixer on, batter splattered up the walls. Laughing, he joked, "I guess these cookies wanted to go out with a bang before even hitting the oven." By now, every inch of the kitchen was either sticky, splattered, or powdered, resembling a comedic battlefield. Jake teased, "Dad, are you cooking dinner or creating a kitchen catastrophe museum?" Determined to get something right, Charlie started on a vegetable stir-fry, hoping the simplicity would save him. But as soon as he tossed vegetables in the pan, they flew everywhere like popcorn, prompting, "They just wanted to veg out." Emily picked up a stray broccoli piece, munching it while giggling at her dad's culinary misadventures. Samantha sighed, saying, "At this rate, we might need to call in a rescue chef or a mop brigade." Charlie chuckled, replying, "Well, I might not be a chef, but I'm certainly cooking up some laughs tonight." Trying a new approach, he reached for a soup recipe, hoping the simplicity of boiling water would save him. However, the pot boiled over, spilling everywhere, as he joked, "Guess the soup just couldn't contain its excitement." Jake laughed, saying, "Dad, if you were any funnier, this would be a stand-up comedy show, not dinner." Emily nodded, adding, "Or maybe a cook and fail show where the recipe's always laughter." Samantha, now wiping down the counters, said, "Well, at least we're getting a great memory out of it." Charlie nodded, grinning, "Nothing brings a family together like a little disaster and a lot of laughs." He attempted a grilled cheese next, but misjudged the heat, resulting in a sandwich so burnt it looked like charcoal. Holding up the blackened bread, he said, and this is my famous crispy cheese, extra crispy, of course. Jake and Emily howled with laughter, grabbing their stomachs while Samantha shook her head, smiling. Charlie put the sandwich down, admitting, maybe cooking isn't my strong suit, but laughing sure is. Emily suggested, Dad, maybe it's time to call for pizza before you burn down the whole house. Charlie raised his hands in defeat, saying, all right, you win, but I'm adding Dad's disaster delight to my cookbook. The family cheered as Samantha grabbed the phone to place a pizza order, finally securing dinner. Jake high-fived Emily, exclaiming, we'll never forget Dad's ultimate kitchen comedy night. Charlie beamed, feeling proud despite the mess, knowing he'd given his family a story they'd remember forever. He grabbed a notebook, already jotting down his jokes, and said, this is the start of my cookbook series. Samantha rolled her eyes playfully, saying, a cookbook of kitchen disasters. That's just classic Charlie. He grinned, replying, it'll be a bestseller for families who love food and laughter. Jake added, Dad, you should name it Cook or Croak since it's risky cooking with you. Emily giggled, saying, or Laugh and Burn, because you burned every single dish tonight. Charlie chuckled, all right, maybe I'll call it The Recipe for Laughs instead. Samantha nodded, saying, that title fits perfectly since this kitchen has been full of laughs all night. The doorbell rang, and everyone cheered as the pizza arrived, their hunger finally about to be satisfied. They gathered around the table, munching on pizza, still giggling about Charlie's cooking mishaps. Jake held up a slice, toasting, to the funniest chef in town and his unforgettable meal. Charlie raised his slice, saying, here's to family, laughter, and a kitchen full of memories. Emily added, and here's to Dad's cookbook, I can't wait to see the next disaster recipe. They all laughed, imagining future family dinners filled with mishaps and more dad jokes. As the laughter filled the room, Charlie realized that his failed dinner was a huge success in its own way. Together, they knew that sometimes the best recipes aren't for food but for laughter and love.